Goodfirms takes pride in helping millions of B2B tech companies find and promote software products and services. What Goodfirms is also proud of that we are reaching many people through this podcast and therefore spreading knowledge that intrigues the to be entrepreneurs. I'm your host Suhana Bhattacharya and this is the Goodfirms Leaders Roundtable podcast. For this episode, we have the CEO and co-founder of Diffco. Now, Diffco has 14 plus years of experience in mobile, web, and AI product development. They are an award winning agency that believes in establishing long term partnerships with their clients while focusing on reliability and trust. Vadim himself is an expert with deep experience in AI enhanced applications, cybersecurity, and more. So, thank you so much, Vadim, for joining us today. Anything that you'd like to add to the introduction, something that I might have missed?
Thanks for inviting. It's great to be here. So I think there's only one thing that I want to add that besides just like focusing on AI and cybersecurity, I do work a lot with the product companies and helping to build the right product in the right direction. And typically it's like B2B SaaS.
Okay, that's great. Statistics say that market growth of artificial intelligence is going to cross $89 billion by 2025. And that is such enormous growth, but I don't think it can be achieved without affecting the mobile app industry. So that's why we are talking about how artificial intelligence actually has the power and the potential of changing the app development industry. I'd like to clarify my understanding of how AI works. So, what exactly happens behind the screen?
Yeah, I mean, the AI is a kind of an interesting beast, and like a lot of people understand in terms of like AI is many think that not really AI, so it sometimes really depends on how you clarify things. Yeah. So technically speaking, even simple things that you're using probably daily, like facial recognition on your iPhone or Android devices, still kind of part of AI. Yeah. And you're right in mobile application space, I think AI is actually allowing to change the game because like previously in most cases this was like a more like a server run and like a cloud-based solutions, etc. But now we have much more powerful phones in our hands and our pockets that are allowing us to use this as an edge device and actually run things on a device itself. This is actually very good for consumers because first of all they get the faster response, and as well as companies that build in AI application can reduce some costs not running this in a server, actually just running this on a user devices. So it's typically much more efficient for this run.
Exactly. And I think the terms artificial intelligence and machine learning are frequently used interchangeably because they have become fundamental to many industries. So, how we can grasp the difference between the two and how to actually distinguish them?
Yeah, it's a most typical kind of problem in explaining this because again the machine learning is a specific well, approach, yeah, what people will utilize. The same as like deep learning, yes, it's one of type of algorithmic approaches. It's the popular buzzword, but in the same time it's AI is like a term that we use that describing a lot of things. And it's important to understand a lot of AI implementation is previously specifically was not using a neural network, etc. And it still was kind of an AI solution, not specifically machine learning back then. So it was like different type of learning. But like in most like simple terms, people just explain this as the same thing. But they kind of like a different thing. And like typically we would refer as a for AI as a bigger concept than like a specific type of approaches like a deep learning.
Exactly. So, what are the biggest challenges that AI brings in the app development industry? Because Diffco has been dealing with a variety of technologies and it has been in the market since 14 plus years now. So, it has witnessed a lot of upcoming technologies and the challenges, right? So, what are those?
Sure, thanks for these questions because like I think like a lot of things in AI is really challenging. Like was much more challenging like a couple of years ago even. Now again, a lot of things in AI in most cases, if you try to run some custom algorithm that like not utilizing some ready out of the box solution, So in this case, you need to have a lot of data. And now in most cases, who have most of the data will actually win the process. Not always about the best algorithmic approach. It's more about like having the data. Especially like some clients comes to us and they need to do some custom things with some data that they can use. And if they have enough of these data points, it's always helpful to actually use this. But sometimes in some areas like healthcare, for example, it's a lot of restriction how you can use the data. Yeah. So it's not allowing some customers to get more like data to actually train the model. I think this is challenge number one. I would bring as a number two challenge that we see that in a lot of cases people think that AI can do everything and you can build a tool to solve any problem that this planet may face. In reality, it's unfortunately it's a little bit different. Yeah, so we see a lot of requests that just looking like you can build a custom thing that not really existed before. Yeah, so this is one of the challenges. So what we typically would want to do in this case, um, again, so I like that people come in with these ideas because this is challenging the same concept that we have and sometimes pushing the boundaries what was possible before. The important part that in a lot of cases it allowing us to create much more complex things, and some of them will not be possible today, and we need to like clearly understand what is the like issues with these limitations.
Exactly. And the challenges that you mentioned is actually so much on point because people should have a more structured way to know what kind of problems AI can actually solve.
Sure. And like when you see a lot of news like AI designed this beautiful picture or written the book or wherever, you look at this and say like, yeah, AI now could do like almost everything. And then people come and like, hey, can AI like do this type of recognition with and recognize if it's fake ID based on like really low quality picture? It's like, no. Can it have the really advanced conversation with our customer and we can replace all our reps that doing the communication with the customers? Like, nope. It can do so little, it could definitely help, but it cannot like have the full detailed conversation with them. It's like it's impossible.
Exactly. And when estimating the cost to develop any AI app, there are several factors to take into account, like the level of complexity and many others. So, what are actually those cost drivers for developing AI mobile apps outside app complexity?
Yeah, thanks for this. It's a good one. So in most cases the estimation will be based on like R&D part, and like we'll do first like detailed documentation, dive what we actually need to do, and after we'll dive into detailed R&D. So we'll try to do some version of it, so test how things will work, and to get the actual understanding, can we actually achieve the result that we want, and if any existing solution that we can use. Also, we can try to test what type of data we have. Yeah, so it's also important because sometimes we have some great options with a lot of data points from the client side or from the public available databases that we can utilize. This is really, really helpful. So when we do these estimates, we typically, again, so we do a separate discovery stage with R&D and try to get this full understanding what is going on there. And after we will try to lay out stages. And when we have this and we have a development plan for this, typically we'll move with different iterations because in most cases you cannot predict the full results when you have the full system running on a development stage. So in most cases you need to develop system and launch things and see how they will do. So we may have some ideas in the front, but when we actually finish this, it may go to more complex story and it will go just like as outgoing development project.
Right. And when anybody thinks of artificial intelligence, people do actually believe that, it's more secure, but I'm sure there are many security risk or privacy concerns associated with AI integration in mobile apps. So, what are those?
I think in most cases, like artificial intelligence in general, is creating a lot of security risk. You're right, because if the computer deciding if it's right or wrong, and because that some algorithm that work in there, it's some ways that it could be bypassed or hacked in this case. Yeah, so it's multiple ways how system could enhance this. You always need to be aware on what it actually is going on in this recognition and constantly work on improving this and checking what is going on with real maybe human intervention and seeing how this actually going, because it could be like, for example, login system with like facial recognition. Yeah, and you can still fool the facial recognition systems, especially if you only dealing with like regular cameras. You're not using the cameras with additional sensor or lidar or like infrared or something like this. So if you only have
Mm.
one layer, so they can be easily hacked, and it's a certain limitation, physical limitation, that right now at least it's impossible to fix unless we have more data.
Exactly. And as we prepare for the future of artificial intelligence, I think there are numerous discussions online on how AI will change work. And similar to that, many people also worry that automation will cause labor markets to become unstable. So, would you mind sharing your views and opinions on the subject?
Yeah, this is probably will be a really unpopular opinion, but I think it's a good point, because societies need to change from what we have currently, doing some manual work, to actually doing more like a creative work, more organizing work. And if we can change what we do in a lot of cases manually and allow AI to actually run these things, we can do much more as a human race, I would probably call it. So it's a lot of manual labor that could be removed from the areas that not necessarily need any like a creative part or like any additional thinking. And yes, for sure, a lot of people will change the jobs, but I think it's for the best, not for the worse.
Exactly. And I think people actually need to realize that, in this journey of maybe humankind, AI is just a partner. It's not going to replace you.
Yeah, it's a partner. I think it's a good word here. So it's some assistant tool that could be used to make things better and make things for the best, allowing us to move faster as a society. Yeah. And like previously was moving really slow as a humanity, and if we can use this new tool to make things faster, I think we can solve a lot of issues that currently is going on in the world, because we can focus on what is important, not just like doing simple things that could be automated.
Right. So, moving on to the last question, we as good firms would definitely like to know how we helped Diffco in their mission to become industry leaders in mobile app development.
Sure. So I want to thank you for creating a lot of positive content like this, and as well as driving a lot of right information to our pages. I think this is really helpful in some ways. And I think your ability to actually show the companies that do this development from the right angles, I think really helpful, because you can easily sort things on a website and just find the actual things that you're looking for. Because in most cases, what the challenge people will have when they just Google things, so you don't have a filters. Yes, they have this like a Google AI decided what is good for them. Yeah,
Mm.
but you guys have a lot of advanced filters that can be used, and like maybe you need experts in healthcare in the United States or in UK. You probably will not go and find some expert in Argentina for someone in UK, as example. The filtering will allow you to jump between others, and I think this is a key component for driving the right expectation and right happiness for the clients.
Exactly. So, thank you so much, Vadim, for giving your valuable insights on a topic such as AI, because there is a lot of air on actually what is AI and what it actually doing. So, we try to do our bit to actually solve those a bit of confusion that is actually in the market, and to talk to an industry leader who actually deals with AI for such a very long time. So thank you so much, Vadim, for taking out your time for this interview.
Thanks for inviting. It was wonderful talking to you and hope you enjoy the show.